To stretch or not to stretch? That is the question. I think we first have to understand the why. Why are we stretching? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to improve your range of motion, or do you just like the feeling of the stretch? Stretching is great. Say you're trying to improve the depth of a squat, do some mobility work, do some hip stretches beforehand, get you down to a deeper squat. And some people like doing yoga, which includes a lot of stretching and holds. The common misconception for regular stretching is that it loosens muscles up. Say you use it a lot, so it shortens and contracts, and you better stretch it just to optimize the length of the muscle. It's just like a rubber band. If you want to keep it healthy, you better stretch it from time to time. While this is somewhat true, you don't actually have to stretch regularly. But if it feels good to you and you like it, by all means, keep stretching. But if you don't like to stretch, great. Don't let the people who swear by stretching force you into stretching. Especially because now we know that stretching doesn't actually improve muscle length. It actually just increases your tolerance to the stretch. So your muscles don't actually get longer. They just get better at being stretched. And now begs the question, why do I always feel tight? Where does that come from? So you may have all the range of motion in the world, but you still feel tight. We see this clinically all the time. Sometimes you have the range of motion to do the things that you want to do. Somebody complaining of hamstring tightness or achiness, but they're able to kind of palm the floor. Or somebody complaining of upper trap tightness, but they don't lack any range of motion. Because sometimes muscle weakness can disguise as muscle tightness. Let me explain. Maybe you're adding a lot of mileage to your running and you're constantly overloading your hamstrings. Or maybe you've had a long, stressful week sitting at work and now this upper trap just feels tight. You see, without the person in front of you, it's hard to pinpoint exactly the reason why somebody experiences symptoms. Sometimes it could be you're overloading the muscle, sometimes it can be not enough motion. And the body is complaining because of the lack of motion. Remember, motion is lotion. But today I want to talk about active mobility and why that is better than just stretching. You see, passive stretching does not improve tissue capacity. And what does improve tissue capacity is load. This is sometimes often overlooked. You can have all the range of motion, but what's really important is for you to be able to control and have strength in that range of motion. Going back to the rubber band analogy, contract, relax. Before you squat, you do a quick hip mobility stretch, gets you a little bit more comfortable at the bottom position of a squat. But afterwards, you want to follow that up with some load. So not only are you improving your range of motion, you're also building strength in that range of motion. AKA now we have a healthier, more robust, stronger rubber band. So ultimately, it comes down to building tissue capacity. Say you're running a lot and your hamstring is getting a little achy from the increase in mileage. Why don't we improve your hamstring tissue capacity by doing some strengthening exercises so that you can tolerate more running? Or with a hypothetical patient with upper trap tightness, why don't we set a 30-minute timer at work just to break up the sitting so that your body gets a chance to move and change positions, because we know that prolonged positioning isn't great. So really, there's nothing wrong with stretching, but it's important to know the why. Are you trying to break up long bouts of sitting? Great. Are you doing it just because you think you have to do it? Maybe you don't actually have to do it. You just like the feeling of it? Then great, just keep stretching. There's nothing wrong with any of these, but ultimately it's important to add some active mobility, active motion, so that you keep those rubber bands nice and healthy. And honestly, it all comes down to what your goals are. You know where to find me. Let me know if you have any questions.